Hello and welcome back to the Nexus Gaming Series. I am the Crushinator and I will be your host for tonight's series between ReGen Retro and Fancy Flightless Fowl. It's been quite the day so far. Whew, very long one today. Got some WoW leveling in, got to see the big draft today, but we're back with the normal cast, we're back with the NGS action, and it looks like our lobby is nearly full. That gives us a little bit of time to learn about our teams. Let's head over to the tail of the tape. ReGen Retro coming into tonight's matchup at 3 wins and 2 losses, 8-6 on the map record. Best map so far, Towers of Doom at 3-1 and Infernal Shrines at 2-1. Top heroes for them so far, GARROSH at 4-2, often picked tank. Stukov actually coming in at 4-0. Very impressive record on the Infested Terran. And Deathwing sitting at 3-2. Fancy Flightless Fowl are coming in at 5 wins and 3 losses, so a lot of those flex matches already played so far. 10-7 on the map record. Best map so far, 2-0 on Battlefield of Eternity and 2-1 as well on Infernal Shrines. Best heroes, 3 undefeated heroes here for Fancy Flightless Fowl, 5-0 on GREYMANE, 3-0 on Tassadar, 3-0 on Brightwing. Very, very impressive stuff. One other thing to note about our 2 teams today, as I just quickly double-check to make sure I don't put my foot in my mouth, this is the second time these 2 teams have played each other in A West. They are doing a double round-robin format. So I quickly go and try to find the division. Come on. Hey, Valkymer. Yeah, it's stream number 3 today, man. You got all your bananas saved up. Yeah, they played on October 1st, so about 2 weeks ago, and Fancy Flightless Fowl took that series 2-1. So very expecting a close matchup here today, and a little bit of familiarity between our 2 teams. Looks like we're just missing 1 player, so we'll see if we can slowly go through the map screen here. Was ReGen Retro banned away Braxis Holdout and Battlefield of Eternity for this matchup. And Fancy Flightless Fowl, that's going to be a fun one, banning away Cursed Hollow and Dragonshire. And it will be a ReGen Retro taking us to Towers of Doom for game number 1. Towers of Doom, as I said, they're 3-1 on, so trying to pick up an early win on a familiar map here is ReGen Retro. Alright, looks like I started too soon. I thought my lobby was ready and it wasn't. What a dang shame indeed. Well, looks like I'm going to be heading back to the me screen for a little bit. Hang out with you folks. Hope you're having a good day. Hope it's been eventful and an excellent Saturday. I'm excited to get to cast some Division A. That's the division I've cast the least so far this season. I've been all over Division C. I've had a good amount of Division B, got some D&E games in there. Of course, Storm Division as well as some Heroic. But I think this might be my first Division A game all season long. So I'm looking forward to seeing what these teams have to offer for me today. Speaking of Division A West, simultaneously being cast right now is another matchup, I believe. Minion Miners are going up against... Who are they going up against? I just saw it. Minion Miners and Forge the Winning Condition are playing over on Jazon's stream. We cast with Jazon yesterday, and it was fantastic. But now we're going our own ways to make sure that A West is covered tonight. Alrighty. Looks like we've got our 10 in the lobby. So hopefully we are going to be getting going here in just a moment on Towers of Doom. I'm sure Valkymer is thinking of all the wonderful ways he can spend his banana hoard that he picked up today. I'm going to be trying to make the long Saturday stream a more regular thing. Because, yeah, it's fun. And I've been getting a lot of love from the Heroes community. I want to pour that back. I want to get you some more content. Not sure if it's going to be Heroes related, if it's going to be World of Warcraft, but adding 1 or 2 streams a week of non-casting. See how it goes. Looks like our teams are confirming ready in the chat, so we're going to have a draft here in just a moment on Towers of Doom. Hit that button. Hit it! There it goes.
Of Doom.
Fantastic. Alright, first draft of the day. First draft of the series for ReGen Retro and Fancy Flightless Fowl, as it is Fancy Flightless Fowl that have the first pick and first ban here. Towers of Doom. Up here in the A division, you probably won't see the standard, you know, passive double soaker, 4 players in the bottom, never leaving the lane type strategy, as we see GARROSH banned away and Cho quickly banned away here by ReGen Retro. No funny business allowed with Cho off the table. GARROSH very strong here for ReGen Retro. Vikings taken away as well, so looks like maybe I may have to go back on my word there. I've been waiting to see good teams like we have here in A bust out some kind of a double specialist strategy. Not necessarily double specialist, but like a solid 1-1-3. As we see Gazlo banned away here by ReGen Retro. You got someone in the mid who can go and join bot pretty easily. Someone like a Lunara, someone who can hold down the lane and just prevent any double soaking from going on. Lets you put someone like Sonya in the top lane, a good laner that can double soak in a pinch, but can also just siege like a maniac. And I'm interested to see whether that's going to be broken out here on Towers of Doom, as Gingy Boy is going to lock in the Diablo first pick. Diablo just strong in general right now. A lot of time going the auto attack build. Towers of Doom has some wide open spaces. The lane's a little bit long, but around the fight points, oh, there's so many angles that Diablo can create, so many chokes to throw that Apocalypse or that Lightning Breath down. Ender is going to go ahead and lock in that undefeated Stukov, and Potato with the GREYMANE pick. Zombie and Gingy Mechs clapping right back with Ana and Tassadar. Pretty potent combo there. Ana able to keep people alive from very far away. Tassadar with enough wave clear to really mess with any sort of siege coming through from Stukov and GREYMANE. The Shock Ray can go such a distance and just zap those minion waves down, so definitely strong pickup there. Trying to limit the PvE potential here is ReGen Retro with the Rainer ban. Definitely would be a solid pickup, and with GREYMANE already chosen by Potato, a very good choke out of the standard sustain auto attackers. Fancy Flightless Fowl looking at a Stukov and a GREYMANE. They've already got GARROSH off the board. Interested to see if they want to ban away something like an ETC here. It's going to be Mei instead, so a little bit worried about the slows and the zoning potential. That does leave ETC up and available. We'll see what ReGen Retro wants to do with this pick. If you're thinking about Stukov, you're thinking about holding people still, you're thinking about circle ults, as Aaron is going to grab the Malthael, and Hunter X will be playing the Li Ming. Malthael, a pretty standard double soaker here on Towers of Doom. We'll see whether the siege... I mean, GREYMANE, Li Ming, Stukov is a tremendous siege push if they've got the right tank to get them in position. I'm thinking maybe we're looking at a Johanna last pick, possibly even a Mal'Ganis coming out from ReGen Retro. Batman is going to grab the Leoric to counter push the Malthael, and Alfie is going to be playing Vala. So a little bit of a, I don't want to say an exposed Vala. Usually we see Vala... Oh, Zami is going to lock in a Varian. That was not what I was expecting at all. That to me says that they're going to be looking to interrupt and gank the Leoric as often as possible, possibly going for some very early camp steals. Cool pickup there by ReGen Retro, hiding that Varian to the very last pick. We'll see how Alfie does on the Vala, and we'll see how these two teams clash. ReGen Retro versus Fancy Flightless Fowl. Game 1 on Towers of Doom. Here we go. Loading on in here to Towers of Doom. Looks like we're about to be ready to go. And there it is. Loading on in, on the left, in the blue, is ReGen Retro. With Zamibars on the Varian, Aaron is playing Malthiel, Potato on the GREYMANE, Ender is playing Stukov, and Hunter X is on the Li-Ming. On the right, in the red, we have Fancy Flightless Fowl with Gingy Boy playing the Diablo. Alfie is on Vala. Zombie playing Ana. Batmang on the Leoric. And Gingy Mex on the Tassadar.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Game number 1 is underway. No questing talents over on the left-hand side for ReGen Retro. Tassadar going to be looking to stack up those Qs. It looks like Ana's going right into a grenade build on level 1. They try to deny the healing coming out from Malthiel specifically. And of course the Stukov burst healing that can get oh so many saves. Aaron in some trouble here as Gingy Boy surging across the lane, and Malthiel absolutely deleted there. First blood going over to Fancy Flightless Fowl. Leoric gonna split on up to the top lane as the rest of the squad gonna rotate down. Zamibar's gonna have to be careful here as Gingy Boy was looking for a connection on the wall but will not find it. Goes for the shadow charge, but slipping through the gate is Zamibar's. Good escape there for sure. Malthiel back on the battlefield. Gonna head on up to the top lane. We are gonna see Hunter X try to make things difficult for Leoric on this rotation. This is what I wanted to see out of ReGen Retro, just rotating to the mid, trying to make sure that the life of the double soaking solo laner is not so easy. Both sides going to go ahead and pick up their sapper camps here. Gingy Boy just keeping some vision in the mid in case ReGen Retro decides to surge across the map. But the clear is about the same, and we're going to have sappers going down the bottom lane. Jason in the chat. Don't you have a series to cast, sir? Good luck with your series, buddy. Ender gets flipped and thrown right in. The Unstoppable's not going to be there in time, and it certainly can't get past a force wall. Stukov taken out by Fancy Flightless Fowl. Very nicely done. The flip and the push onto Zamibars can't quite get the stun connection onto that piece of architecture, so Varian is going to be able to get away here. Tassadar moving up to the mid lane to try to catch this XP as Leoric pushing Malthiel back in the top lane. As level 4s have arrived for both teams. Continuing that grenade build is Ana. Not seeing anything too out of the ordinary on the picks here. Standard double soaking talents coming in for Malthiel and Leoric. There's the taunt onto Vala. Alfie able to do vault on out. Getting healed up by Zombie, and this could be a turn onto Potato. Manages to Dark Flight on out of there. And everyone's going to survive. This is where it starts getting interesting here for ReGen Retro. Varian has the Charge Taunt combo online. It's going to be really sharking around the map here. So Fancy Flightless Fowl going to have to be very careful on their rotations. Gingy Boy, the silence follow-up is good. Diablo's still silenced. Potato is turned on though, and GREYMANE's going to go down. Altars are just now activating. Gingy Boy looking like they may not make it out of here. Zombie trying their best. And those healing darts are actually going to be enough. Gingy Mex moving on up. Diablo playing a little bit too fast and loose there. Will get dusted by ReGen Retro. Solo laners politely trade altars in the top lane, and now the battle will be for this bottom altar. Aaron putting some damage into Alfie. Vala trying to escape here, warping on in. I think that's going to be it. Vala taken out. ReGen Retro control this first objective and go take the 2-for-1. Sapper camp's going to be coming up here in just a moment for both squads. Zamibars, once again, doing what a Varian's got to do here on towers, just playing on the enemy side of the map, looking for Batman. The charge, the taunt does not come out before the Wraithwalk, so Leoric will manage to get away here. Gingy Boy sees that ReGen Retro is not on their Sapper camp just yet. And Vala is now back on the battlefield. We're going to see the teams retreat and get their camp started. Fancy Flightless Fowl on top of their camp first, but the clear coming out from ReGen Retro is very, very strong. So it looks like the camps will be taken roughly at the same time once again. Zamibar's moving across the map looking for Alfie, but Vala managing to path behind the tank there. As Malthael looks like maybe starting to get the jump on Leoric here. Getting ahead on these rotations. Hunter X flipped over by Gingy Boy, but Stukov is there with the warding lurking arm. Taunt onto Diablo once again. But that spell armor is really tough to blow through. Sapper's going to be cleaned up by both sides. Alfie managing to get away from Zamibars here. And right now, ooh, Gingy Boy getting healed up with a huge W there. W build is coming out here for Diablo, so going to see a lot of resets there as Li Ming is picked off by Alfie. So it won't be an auto attack build, instead going to rely on those W resets for ReGen. Probably a good thing here, considering the taunt coming out from Varian. It's going to be a single bottom lane altar. Good first interrupt by Zamibar. Zombie trying to get the early tap. Ooh, the very nice silence from Ender is going to force Zombie off the point. Malthael and Li Ming are coming down to help this out. So Fancy Flightless Fowl are going to be met with a 5-on-5 here. Gingy Boy in the thick of things. Zamibar gets the taunt onto Tassadar. Batman could be in some trouble here. Zombie trying to throw out those healing darts for the save, but Aaron is right on top of the Skeleton King. But there's the turnaround. Alfie comes up and throws that hunting arrow onto Malthael, and that's a kill for Fancy Flightless Fowl. And they may not be done. Unstoppable popped by Li Ming, but that's not going to be enough. It's a double kill for Vala. The Force Wall trying to find some more. Jumping online is the Entomb with the Lightning Breath, and Stukov is down. It's a triple kill and an altar for Fancy Flightless Fowl. Level 10s are here. We saw the Entomb Lightning Breath. It's going to be the Rain of Vengeance for Vala, the Nano Boost from Ana. And Tassadar still thinking about that pick. Level 10 is about to be here for ReGen Retro. It is Archon for Tassadar, by the way. Oh, there's the taunt onto Alfie once again. Nice peel by Ana. Zamibar's trying to maintain some presence here. It's stunned once again by the Rain of Vengeance, but will manage to get away. Very nicely done by Zamibars. As both teams pick up their camps, we see ReGen Retro's heroics are online. It is the Warbringer for Varian, and I have no more time to talk about it because Gingy Boy's not going to let me. Fancy Flightless Fowl are coming in for the camp invade. Alfie has the nano boost. The camp steal is completed, the Force Wall for the escape, and a very successful, fantastic invade by Fancy Flightless Fowl as they're going to retreat to their own Sapper. See if I can finish off those ults. It is the last rites, the Flailing Swipe, the Wave of Force, and the Cursed Bullet. We did it! It's Zamibars just trying to cut me off, coming in for their own camp invade. The taunt onto Gingy Boy is good. The silence from Ender comes out to try to ward away the rest of the crew. Cursed Bullet chunking out Gingy Boy. But Diablo, with those W resets, is going to heal on up. And we have a single altar phase in the bottom lane here that these teams are going to be fighting over. I was expecting a few more visits to the mid lane, especially from ReGen Retro here. But Leoric is a very difficult one to gank on those rotations. Onto the backline is Potato, executing Vala. Zombie going to be going down as well. That's a double kill here for ReGen Retro. Gingy Boy trying to find the kill onto Hunter X. The last rites working on Diablo. Tassadar taken out. Gingy Boy going to be next. That's a quad kill for ReGen Retro. A reset on Diablo's souls. And an altar going over to the blue team. Aaron does not have the last rites for this engage with Batman. We'll see what ReGen Retro can do with this advantage. It looks like they're trying to get some siege done down here in the bottom lane. Very brief level 13 advantage here for the blue team. already taken away as 13 is taken. Fancy Flightless Fowl. Solo laners have been mostly just doing their thing, just soaking away. So my prediction of a tricky rotation coming out from the Varian team, not true, and nothing coming out from Fancy Flightless Fowl either. In terms of really trying to get something done with the offlaners. Of course, the offlaners that were chosen, some of the more difficult to gank heroes in the game for sure. Malthael managing to create enough space to take this top camp as the team's clashing down here in the bottom lane. The triple stun comes through. Gingy Boy isn't done. Alfie gets the double Rain of Vengeance, and that's Li Ming falling down. Potato has to pop the medallion just to get rid of that slow. Zambibars may not be so lucky, but manages to nullify enough of Vala's auto attacks to get away. The Fancy Flightless Fowl, they're thinking about this bottom fort. The taunt onto Diablo, trying to pull them underneath the tower. No minion wave here, so Fancy Flightless Fowl is going to have to back off. It is a double altar phase here in the bottom lane. Aaron was thinking about the rotation, thought better of it. Gingy Boy waiting in that bush. Malthael just maintaining vision. Surging across the map here.
The altars have risen.
Is ReGen Retro. We'll see if they have the interrupt. Won't have it there. Aaron trying to come around the outside. Manages to throw out the Death Shroud. And it looks like we will have a fight here. As Leoric trying to bait the members of ReGen Retro down to the bottom lane. Aaron gets the Reaper's Mark onto Gingimex. Zambi going right onto the back line. They want to find this kill on Tassadar. This silence route is out. Hunter X managing to get away from Diablo. The last rites is going to finish off the red tank. Unstoppable from Batman. Just trying to zone away here. Looks like Leoric will survive for now. Gingimex needs one more shock ray. Will not find it versus Hunter X. And so far, the interrupts have been good. No channels so far, despite Diablo being down. Fancy Flightless Fowl are not done fighting over this point. Batman could be in trouble here versus Aaron, though. Counter sleep onto Zambibars is going to allow Zombie to get away, but Vala taken out. And I think that's going to give ReGen Retro the space they need to get a double altar here and start taking a real shot advantage on Towers of Doom.
Like all the others.
Diablo is back on the battlefield, but will not be here soon enough to do anything about this channel. Level 16 is here for ReGen Retro. They've got 15 seconds without Vala. Let's see how far that they can go here. Hunter X looking for the big Calamity Burst onto Tassadar, but will not get it. And this is where Tassadar is such an asset here on Towers of Doom. The Shock Ray just eliminating incoming minion waves with ease, making it very difficult for a team to push underneath the forts. Left side Sapper has been taken by ReGen Retro. Vala back on the battlefield, which means we're back to a 5-on-5, and we are level 16 versus 16. So still very even on the experience here, very even on minions, pretty even on the heroes and mercenaries as well. So great macro coming out from our two teams today. Batman is coming on down, looking, Zambibars uses the Unstoppable, but can't get through the Entomb. Looks like Varian will manage to get away here, though. The flailing swipe from Ender trying to push back Alfie, but it's not going to be enough. Varian and Stukov both go down. The nano-boosted Vala is enough to push through and pick up 2 kills for Fancy Flightless Fowl. Malthael is getting some pressure on the top lane. Oh, a fantastic stun. The tip of the rain is going to take out Li Ming. And now we're going to see Fancy Flightless Fowl with the siege. Vala is locked on. Gingimex is channeling. Batman and Aaron continuing their ceaseless solo lane battle between mid and top. Whoa, no, coming in with the follow. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you're enjoying yourself. This is going to put Fancy Flightless Fowl in a pretty good position here as we're going into a triple altar phase, and we're still 18 seconds till Li Ming is back on the battlefield. Leoric is going to grab the right channel. Gingy Boy thinking about trying to stop the left, but with Aaron and Ender there, Diablo is going to have to move on back, so it's going to be a 2-for-1 for Fancy Flightless Fowl. Still 22-17 for ReGen Retro on these shots. Fancy Flightless Fowl trying to get in position to defend this bottom lane as the rest of ReGen Retro minus Malthael are starting their siege. Ana's a little bit behind here, so Gingy Boy can't be too aggressive, just trying to ward away the shots. The Silence Root combo coming out, getting a lot of damage onto Diablo. How you doing tonight, Crinetix? Welcome to the show. This is where the fun begins. The Silence combo onto Diablo, and that's enough for the blow-up. Zamibars zooming on in with that Juggernaut, finding Alfie as well. Looks like Vol is going to be okay for now, but I don't know if Fancy Flightless Fowl can keep up this defense without Diablo threatening kills. This bottom fort will go back over to the side of ReGen Retro. I believe that's another soul reset on Gingy Boy. It's Diablo now back on the battlefield. Aaron, using the Death Shroud, cannot get on top of Tassadar, but is going to start stealing this camp. And a very timely invade here from ReGen Retro.
The altars are rising.
Going to get a double Sapper camp going once again, and it's going to be a double top lane altar in about 20 seconds here. Leoric throwing some experience into the towers in the top lane, but both teams about even on their trek towards level 20. Batbang managing to avoid the full rotation here. Or are they? There's the taunt coming out. The Cursed Bullet is committed as well as the Last Rites. And that is a huge blow-up onto Leoric. Fancy Flightless Fowl with Leoric going down, decide they're just going to go and siege the bottom lane. I don't think they're going to get this down before the shots fire. That's one. That's two. So 2 rounds of shots there for ReGen Retro send the Fancy Flightless Fowl core down to 9 shots. Varian heading on back. Aaron going to go ahead and get this Sapper camp pushing in the top lane before Batman can return to the battlefield.
Doom to the Gravekeeper.
So coming up to defend are the rest of the squad for Fancy Flightless Fowl. Aaron did not see this rotation coming. Malthael right in the thick of things, trying to warp on out. Alfie finds the stun onto Aaron, and that is going to be it for Malthael. Super heavy rotation coming out for Fancy Flightless Fowl, and they're going to go ahead and pick them up a free 4 shots. While ReGen Retro takes back the bottom lane. Boss is taken, but that's going to give ReGen Retro the opportunity to possibly do a double fort play. With the Li Ming and the GREYMANE, this is going to be melting very fast, but here comes Batman. Zamibars is going to have to peel away, and the flank is here. Silence onto Stukov is going to get the kill onto the enemy healer. Gingy Boy is just regenning like a madman. Zamibars trying to go into the back lane, but will not pick up any extra kills. That's 2 kills for Fancy Flightless Fowl. Potato trying to get away from Batman. Alfie is on the chase, though. That's going to be it for GREYMANE. 3 heroes down. And this is super back and forth here. Fancy Flightless Fowl defend their fort and take the opposing fort right back. Tixmaster coming in with the follow. Thank you very much for the support. Hope you're enjoying your time here today. Single altar phase. Zombie gonna go ahead and pick that up. Malthael and Leoric back to battling in the top lane. Oh, Gingy Boy and crew. Double Gingy and the Alfie. Thinking about taking mid here. Zombie coming in to help as well. Only 2 members up. Li Ming trying to work on this bottom fort. It looks like mid may be going over to Fancy Flightless Fowl, as this Twilight Archon from Gingy Mex is still rolling. Almost back to full duration. There it is. Li Ming still working on this bottom fort, down to about half health here. Hunter X is going to have to be careful. Gingy Boy's riding in hard. A great blink, but that may be it for Ender. Oh, the stun did not land onto the wall. Zamibar's going on in. Gingy Mex is still in Twilight Archon form. And we're on a 5-1 structure lead for Fancy Flightless Fowl. And the defense is going to be here to stay. Malthael coming on down to help out. Li Ming can definitely get some magic missiles if they can have the opportunity to push onto this bottom fort, but it looks like ReGen Retro are just going to go ahead and retreat and take back the mid. While Fancy Flightless Fowl working on the left side Sapper camp. 4-2 on the structures. There's the taunt onto Gingy Boy. Follow up with the Cursed Bullet. But that spell armor just so big for the Primeval. As Batman is going ahead and trying to reduce the damage of the backline. Sappers thinking about making it over the line. Look at that Entomb! That's Li Ming down with the silence. Potato manages to get outside that lightning breath. Ender may be in trouble here as Alfie's not done. Oh, a huge taunt from Zamibars. Gets the counter kill onto Vala. So it's a 4v4. Malthael coming from the top lane. Leoric can get the channel in the bottom lane. Ana thinking about the channel in the top. This will not be game, but ReGen Retro do not want to go down too far here. Top was taken, so we're actually back to 3-3 on the structures. There's the taunt onto Diablo. Gingy Boy managing to look at that healing on the W, denying the last rights kill. ReGen Retro picks up the altar, but they will not get any extra kills. Gingy Boy going from 0 to hero on the health bar there. But slowly taking back those structures, the Malthael push in the off lane, and all of a sudden ReGen Retro's up 4-2 on buildings. It's coming right down to the wire here. 8-5 on the core. Boss up in about a minute here. Zamibars wants to move in. Aaron trying to bait Gingy Boy forward. This bottom fort is in a lot of trouble. Leoric showing in the top lane. Tastar heading up there as well. That means the ReGen Retro is going to go up 5-1 briefly on these structures, controlling the bottom lane. Top being worked on by Gingy Mex and Batman. Look at that minion wave just melt. Top fort taken back by fancy Flightless Fowl. And the defense is on for ReGen Retro. We'll have to see what the next altar phase will bring. This could be a single... Oh, it's a single altar phase. That's really good news here for fancy Flightless Fowl. The taunt is good onto Alfie, but a great peel by Gingy. Rooted in the silence, but still staying pretty healthy here is Diablo. There's the silence Entomb. The lightning breath is out. Stukov is down. Aaron is down. Leoric falling as well. Gingy Boy, somehow, some way, still alive. Zamibars is going to have to try to back off here. Gingy Boy is moving on in. Fancy Flightless Fowl have to stop this channel. If this goes off, it's going to be game. Gingy Mex is moving into position. The Shock Ray comes out. But Zamibars is on the back line, trying to find the kill onto Ana. Ana is down. Diablo is down. The resets are coming through. Alfie trying to move forward. Potato dueling versus Gingy Mex. It's going to be GREYMANE and Tassadar trading out. Batman may be back on the battlefield here. Diablo's souls were reset. Diablo's on the way back. Batman is still up. This is not over yet. It's still a 3v2 here for ReGen Retro. Hunter X got the tap and is going to start coming on back. The Silence Entomb is out. Zamibar's trying to get away. There's the Calamity kill. Diablo and Leoric are down. And finally, ReGen Retro with the shots. They convert the 5, and that is going to be it. ReGen Retro picking up game number 1. GG. Fireworks all around there in game number 1. 19-18 kills for fancy Flightless Fowl. Things were looking good. It was super, super back and forth all game long. Very nicely played by both teams. But in the end, ReGen Retro snowballing some kills at the end, getting that crucial late game map pressure and converting the final shot with that structure advantage. Very, very nicely done. Potato on the GREYMANE leading the way on the hero damage for ReGen Retro. 93,000 coming out from the Worgen War Leader. Alfie on the Vala. 8 killing blows, playing super well. 84,000 hero damage as well. Very nicely done. Take a quick look here at the talents, and then we'll go ahead and get set up for game number 2. Alright, game number 1 is in the books. ReGen Retro strike first on Towers of Doom. We're going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, it's going to be more ReGen Retro versus Fancy Flightless Fowl. Don't go away. Hello and welcome back. We're getting set up for game number 2 here between ReGen Retro and Fancy Flightless Fowl. But before that, Crinetics redeeming the Touch Your Toes for 600 as the lobby is getting ready. Let's get that done. Alright. Nice 10 count down here. That feels good. A lot of sitting today. Tight hamstrings. Oh, there we go. Oh, just in time. Thank you for spinning those bananas. So our teams are getting ready, so I'll hit them with the R. Oh, catch my headphones. And remind you of the map situation. Praxis Holdout, Battlefield of Eternity, Cursed Hollow, and Dragonshire are banned away. Towers of Doom was chosen and won by ReGen Retro, and now ReGen Retro is going to be taking us to Alterac Pass for game number 2. Draft is ready, so let's jump on in. Alrighty. Same draft order here, Fancy Flightless Fowl first to act, and they're going to stick with that GARROSH ban that has treated ReGen so well this season. We'll see whether... I doubt it's going to be a Cho'Gall pick on Alterac. Just a thought. It is an extremely large map, so probably a different band coming out here for ReGen Retro. Will it be... Really? Really? Okay. If you don't want to deal with it, you don't want to deal with it. DLV banned away here by Fancy Flightless Fowl. I've stepped into a time machine. It's going to be the same bans over and over again. What was the ban? I can't remember what the 4th ban was for ReGen now. It was Gazlo. It's the same bans! Woo! Does that mean Diablo first pick? Come on, Gingy boy. Nope, Alfie is actually going to go ahead and grab the GREYMANE this time. GREYMANE, higher priority here on Alterac, just because that mid-Knoll camp is so important on Alterac Pass. You want someone who can burn that down solo if necessary. So it wouldn't surprise me to see ReGen snap up a Rainer here, unless they want to go with an alternate strategy. Those are the big two that really can go take that alone. It's going to be an ETC picked up by Zamibars, was neglected last time in favor of the Varian, and Ender will be back on the Stukov. You're right! I didn't hide Jason's picture again. Well, Jason's here in spirit, because he's such a cool cat. You can hide Jason. Jason's casting the other A West. But if he were here, he would approve of the Stukov repick by Ender. I can say that much. Gingy Max, happy with the Tassadar last game, and Zombie going to switch things up and take the global presence of Brightwing. So tank has been chosen by ReGen Retro, and no tank coming through yet for Fancy Flightless Fowl. Will we see a continued choke, maybe a May ban from ReGen Retro, or do they have something else in mind? Something they don't want to see in the solo? They're going to take away the Diablo. Make sure Gingy Boy cannot play that same insane W reset build that we saw in game number 1. Fancy Flightless Fowl, looking at the tank and the healer from the enemy comp. They've already got their damage lined up. We thinking about an Orphea ban, maybe a Rainer ban here. We'll see what the thoughts are. It's going to be Li Ming taken away by Fancy Flightless Fowl, not wanting to let the Li Ming Ana. Not Ana, what am I talking about? Stukov's already picked. Li Ming is just strong. There's a lot of angles here on Alterac Pass, able to interrupt the objective, siege from afar, and most of all, just not letting the team that just won play the same heroes twice is usually a pretty good strategy. ReGen Retro, they're going to sub in the Cassia, played by Potato, and Aaron will be back on the Malthael. So looking to put together roughly the same comp here as ReGen Retro. We've got the Cassia ETC rather than the GREYMANE variant. A little bit of a different look for sure. Fancy Flightless Fowl, they need a tank, they need an offlaner. They don't have Diablo available this game. Are they going to snipe the variant? Nope, Gingy Boy going to go ahead and snap up the May, and Batmang is on the Thrall. Interesting Thrall pick. Gingy Boy playing May. I have a soft spot in my heart for Thrall. I feel like Thrall can do a lot of stuff well, but there's something about Thrall where he just doesn't quite do enough. He doesn't quite have the same impact as Imperius. He doesn't quite have the same lane sustain as Urel. He's almost everything, except he brings 2 very, very impactful teamfight heroics. So that could be what that Fancy Flightless Fowl is looking for here, as Hunter X is going to lock out this draft with a Junkrat. So for Shia, I see you around it a lot over in Kyle Ferguson's stream. Thank you very much for the follow. Hope you're enjoying the show. ReGen Retro, looking to close this out. Fancy Flightless Fowl looking to force a game number 3. Here we go. Alterac Pass. Alrighty. Loading on in here to Alterac Pass. Once again on the left in the blue is ReGen Retro. Zamibars is on the ETC, Aaron is playing Malthael, Ender is on the Stukov, Potato playing Cassia, and Hunter X is on the Junkrat. On the right in the red we have Fancy Flightless Fowl. Gingy Boy on the May, Gingy Mex on the Tassadar, Alfie is playing GREYMANE, Zombie on the Brightwing, and Batmang on the Thrall. Gingy Boy, yo Crush, can we get a shout out on the pleb skin and mount from my boy Alfie? Alfie, where you at? Look at that. Krinitic subbing with the Prime. What a bro. Thank you very much for the support. Enjoy your Pog. As our team's clashing here in the mid lane. Looking for an early advantage before we split into the 1-3-1 and head back to those null camps. Looks like Fancy Flightless Fowl got the better end of the clear, at least for now. Just barely, though. This top lane is going to be the destination for Malthael alongside Thrall. And GREYMANE and Cassia can head on down to the bottom lane. Alfie gonna have to peel on out of here as Zamibars is coming on through. The silence combo onto Gingy Mex is good, but Zombie, ever alert, warps on in to save Tassadar. And with these gank attempts, that means the null camps are up and no one's on them. Junkrat and May have to hold down the mid, and there goes GREYMANE. Alfie gonna start moving on back to the camp. Ender gonna try to start up this null camp here for ReGen Retro as Junkrat starts to catch up here. I think GREYMANE needs help. If I'm not mistaken, we may see, I don't know if Brightwing's Warp is available here. Interesting to see whether that comes on through. ReGen Retro gonna commit 3 to go ahead and grab this camp. Yeah, I don't think Alfie's got this. Here comes Brightwing. The warp is just in time. Calculated coming out from fancy Flightless Fowl. I didn't think that was going to be up on time. That's warp on 1, right? Hypershift? Yeah, if that Hypershift talent wasn't there, I think Alfie would have had to back and let that camp leash. Ender looking for the slow. Will not find it onto Gingy Boy. Junkrat pushing Gingy Boy back. Already getting some wall damage here is ReGen Retro. Checking in on the top lane, Batman just trying to get some poke damage onto Aaron, but the lane sustain from Malthael is really, really tough to get through, as you see by the State of Thrall's mana bar. Looks like we've got a trap build, at least on 4, coming out from Junkrat. Try to get some zoning potential here. Possibly get some dismounts, as Zamibar is going to cover the bottom lane versus Gingimex here. Rotation coming on through. There's the stun. This could be trouble. Oh, the unstoppable from Gingimex is going to be just barely enough. The medallion denies the knockback. Junkrat, oh, Hunter X is throwing in the bombs. And Gingimex is going to head on back. Now, both these teams were a little bit late on their camps, so they're going to have to wait a second, get the null camps, and then head over to the objective. We often see teams waiting on level 7 as well before competing over this first objective on Alterac Pass. Alfie starting it up here for fancy Flightless Fowl. ReGen Retro already picking up the null camp, so they've got a little bit of a lead on the macro here. We'll see what they can do with their map position. GREYMANE just about ready to finish up that camp. So this null camp's going to have the opportunity to get over the wall. A nice dodge there. Hunter X trying to knock back May into the group once again. Level 7's here for both teams. Thrall going to have to be careful. Gets the mount up. Zamibars gets the dismount. Doesn't get the stun as the Feral Spirit from Thrall catches ETC mid-slide. And Batman avoids the gank. Right now, Tassadar just getting some counter soak in the bottom lane, trying to run some XP into that wall as Aaron being forced back in the mid lane. Hunter X trying to help with this clear. Right now, it looks like fancy Flightless Fowl is going to be getting a little bit of an XP advantage, as ReGen Retro was forced into the mid lane there. We're going to see 3... Oh, just 3 orbs. That's not that bad. Aaron with the level 1 on a pale horse, able to get down there very quickly. There we're going to see the zoning potential of those moving traps. Gingy Boy trying to move it all the way back. Make sure it is eaten in a safe place. Batman stepping out on Zamibars, manages to avoid the Cassia blind. And these teams really taking their time here on this first objective. Wanting to make sure they're not behind in experience. Aaron actually getting slowed. This could be a kill here, warping on through. Zamibars is here looking for the peel. Thrall is forced back by Potato, and it's a counter engage. Thrall is going to be the first blood of this game. Jinxie Cat in the chat, how are you doing today? Hope you're adjusting to the new time zones. Looks like ReGen Retro is going to go ahead and start this objective number 1. Gingy Boy not able to throw down the snowball quite in time. Looks like fancy Flightless Fowl going to convert this camp back over to the red team. Both teams for level 9, but ReGen Retro is a little bit further on the path here, getting a slightly ahead on the minion experience and a little bit ahead on the hero kills, as we see the left side camp picked up by ReGen Retro, and Alfie once again working on the null camp for fancy Flightless Fowl. The silence is out onto May, pops the unstoppable, and manages to scoot on through. That's level 10s here for ReGen Retro, and they're going to try to move up before Fancy Flightless Fowl finds their own heroics. It is the Mosh Pit, Last Rites, Ball Lightning, Flailing Swipe, and Riptire coming on through for ReGen Retro. As the channel is up once again, 10 seconds left on this prison camp, and it doesn't look like Fancy Flightless Fowl will be here to try to stop it. There's the Ice Block coming out from May, Silence as well. Blink Heal from the Brightwing is going to allow them to get away and pushed right underneath the fort. Gingy Boy, somehow stays alive under the Last Rites, and it's the counter kill onto Malthael. Cassia down as well. A huge counter engage coming out from Gingy Boy. And Alfie is just laying into Ender. The polymorph is good from Zombie. But the peel from Zamibars is there. 2 members down, but it is going to be a blue rider phase pushing down the lanes here. Fantastic avalanche coming out from May. Filling out the rest of the heroics here for Fancy Flightless Fowl. We've got the Earthquake from Thrall, Cursed Bullet, Archon, and we saw the Blink Heal used to great effect there by Zombie. Batman trying to counter Zamibars down here in the bottom lane as Cassia and Stukov looking for the rotation. Good amount of Fen coming through, but Zombie is there with the Hyper Shift once again. Malthael doing some work versus Gingy in the top lane. The Gingy Boy and Alfie are here for the flank. Excuse me. The polymorph somehow worked as the slide happened. It looked like the stun still worked. Gingy Boy actually getting the stun. There's the Curse Bullet onto ETC. Zamibar's going to take some damage. Batman having to pop the Earthquake to try to get away. Last Rites will be the end of the Orc Warchief. Brightwing taken out as well. And ReGen Retro are turning this thing around. Hunter X moving on up. Cannot find the kill onto Alfie. And Fancy Flightless Fowl are going to have to back off, and we're going to see ReGen Retro working on this bottom lane boss. Not a whole lot that Fancy Flightless Fowl can do about this. Alfie just trying to keep up on the macro on that camp. Gingy grabbing this XP from the mid lane, making sure that they're on track for level 13. Gingy Boy's going to see this. Has the avalanche available? Are they going to try it? There it is! Only catches ETC though. Hunter X was ready for it. Very good awareness coming out from ReGen Retro to not get WTF momented on that one. We're going to see the boss pushing in the bottom lane, aided by the members of ReGen Retro. Malthael keeping up the double soak as Tassadar is stuck in the top lane. We've got a boss +3/+4 pushing in the bottom lane here for ReGen Retro. Batman trying to get on top of Aaron here, just checking in. The Last Rites is going to convert the kill though, and that's why 1v1ing a Malthael post 10 is just so difficult. If that's a Tormented Souls Malthael, I think they absolutely go down there, but as soon as you hit 30% health, you're pretty much donezo. Boss taken out in the bottom lane. ReGen Retro working on the Null Camp on the left-hand side. 30 seconds on the Null Camp on the right for Fancy Flightless Fowl. The objective is up, by the way. Often forgotten here on Alterac passes. Macro and lane pressure are so important on a map such as this. Null Camp going to be cleared in the mid. Zamibar's coming on through, looking for a possible slide. The rest of ReGen Retro flanking around the outside. Aaron cannot find the Death Shroud onto Alfie. And there goes one cannon tower. Trying to get the others here is ReGen Retro clearing from afar with those Junkrat grenades. Poor Malthael trying to use this, trying to siege in with those little sides. The mid fort wall is going to go down. They want this well. That's going to really help them out in this next team fight, as bottom and mid well have been destroyed by ReGen Retro. Nice little bit of macro there. Alfie throws out that Curse Bullet, thinking it's going to be available. Oh, the avalanche stopped, and that's going to whiff. Batman could be in some trouble here. There is the Earthquake, and Alfie is on the back line, just laying into Hunter X. Aaron now chasing away Batman, trying to get rid of that slow with the Gladiator's Medallion, and we've got a split fight here. It looks like Malthael is being zoned out, and Thrall coming to join the team. Hunter X managing to escape here, but Fancy Flightless Fowl bullying around ReGen Retro before level 16 is available. Taking their opportunity here. Very nice work. ReGen Retro going to have to reset. That's going to give Fancy Flightless Fowl an opportunity to jump on this right side null camp. And Thrall headed to the top lane, trying to find level 16 before the next engage. Very nice split here from Fancy Flightless Fowl to get maximum minion XP. At least trying to get maximum minion XP as safely as possible. Thrall is showing in the top lane, so ReGen Retro know they have the opportunity to move on in here. Right side null camp is taken. That's going to free up GREYMANE to come on in. Brightwing trying to soak up this wave here. Zamibar is moving right past Gingy Boy. May manages just to wiggle away. Level 16 has arrived, but they're not going to be there in time to stop this prison camp from busting open. And we're going to have another blue objective marching down the lanes. Mathiel already up to the top lane. Thrall thinking about an engage here. Is going to go ahead and peel on over to the back line. And here come the Riders. It's going to be an even talent tier defense here. The slide onto Gingy Boy is good. Zamibar's avoiding the pressure from Batmang and Alfie here. Ender looking for the silence root combos. Batmang landing a great Feral Spirit to get away. And the Rider is on the fort, trying to clear this wave. Nice blizzard there from Gingy Boy to try to zone away the members of ReGen Retro. Aaron gonna have to be careful here, just trying to maintain presence in the bush, make Alfie nervous. Mid fort is still pretty healthy. It looks like ReGen Retro is gonna have to back off here. Meanwhile, Hunter X has been pushing in the bottom lane. Gingy Boy looking to cut off the escape of Junkrat. The icing is good. Doesn't stop the knockback, but stops the stun from the blizzard, and it looks like Hunter X will manage to get away here. Aaron getting some work done in the top lane, but Matt Bang is going to go ahead and clear that up, and that's going to free up the rest of ReGen Retro to take out this mid fort and give them a 6-3 structure advantage. That's going to really help out on the path to level 20 here, as we now see ReGen Retro a full level ahead. They've been on top of their mercenary camps, they've been racking up those hero kills, and now we're going to see that passive XP start to tilt in the favor of ReGen Retro. Looks like Fancy Flightless Fowl are making a gutsy call here. They've got to get something done, and they're going to go ahead and try for this top boss. ReGen Retro sees it coming. Zamibars is coming on through. I don't know if they're going to get here in time, as this boss is going to be taken just in time. Zamibars almost there, but very nicely timed out by Fancy Flightless Fowl is going to force ReGen Retro to respond to this push. At the very least, it makes it so a double boss play is not in the future if ReGen Retro takes the next team fight. So that's some extra experience here for Fancy Flightless Fowl. Trying to get on top of the macro, trying to get on top of the lanes to make sure that this passive XP tilt over to the side of ReGen Retro doesn't give them too long of a lead at level 20. ReGen Retro just moving around as a pack. They know they're ahead on XP and they have the opportunity to move as a crew and look for fights. Zamibar's gonna head down to the bottom lane. I don't know if they saw Alfie in this bush. They're thinking about it. Gingy Boy is there as well, putting out the blizzard. Zamibars is in some trouble. The polymorph comes out. The Unstoppable is popped. And ETC managing to escape with about 15% health there. And now we've got a 5v5 in the bottom lane, as Malthael is going to now start to peel away, hoping that the rest of ReGen Retro is simply here for the defense. We're going to have the objective up in the top lane. Level 20 almost here for ReGen Retro, and this is what they're waiting for the fight. Gingy Boy is starting to move on in, wants to find this fight. The root is good, the stun is out. Avalanche going to push Junkrat and Stukov into the back lane for a follow-up stun, and that is a double kill. Stukov and Junkrat taken out at the last possible moment before level 20 talents are online, and it's a triple kill for Fancy Flightless Fowl. They're going to have the opportunity to go ahead and take this bottom boss. Thrall and May moving up to the top lane to try to stop the channel from ReGen Retro on this objective. Potato moving on in versus Batmang. There is the root, there's the stun, and that's a kill. Cassia's down. Aaron is dismounted, but I don't know if Thrall and May have the pressure to take out Malthael. Aaron gonna get underneath this fort and manage to escape. But bottom boss going over to the side of Fancy Flightless Fowl. And they're gonna go ahead and start up this objective as well. All of a sudden, Fancy Flightless Fowl have found an opening. Getting the quad kill, they're gonna have this boss pushing right onto this bottom keep. And here it comes. Nearly full health boss, Junkrat, Stukov, back on the battlefield, ETC about to respawn. With Cassia down for another 20 seconds, this is gonna be an interesting defense. Only Alfie and Zombie are here. They're gonna have to back on out as it's a full 4-player defense for ReGen Retro. Gingy Boy just maintaining pressure on the point, and it's going to be the Red Riders for the first time this game after level 20. Opening up a lot of the map here are Fancy Flightless Fowl, just pushing on in, getting as much free damage as possible. ReGen Retro gonna pick up that null camp in the mid lane, keep that on cooldown. There is the force wall. Zamibars with the bolt and the slide, trying to get the body blocks onto Alfie. There's the silence. Brightwing trying to come in with the save, manages to deny the last rites. Ender pushing Gingy Boy back under the fort, but Zamibars could be the one in trouble. Gingy Mex with the Twilight Archon is pushing back Aaron. So many members low on both sides. Gingy Boy somehow able to escape from Potato and Hunter X. And after all that, almost every single heroic spent on both sides, 0 kills recorded in that exchange. The push continues though, the objective's still very healthy in the top and bottom lanes. It's going to be going right onto the keeps. Oh, Gingy Boy's blown over by Hunter X. That's a huge kill for ReGen Retro. They pick off the enemy tank and they halt this push in its tracks. Bottom keep is still taken out there. Hunter X could not put out enough damage. Top objective going to be cleaned up by the keep wall. And 50 seconds without May. Let's see what ReGen Retro can do with this time. All their lanes are fully pushed in here, so it's going to take them a while to get anything done. But top boss is up in 20 seconds, and May is only up in 35. Are they going to look for picks, or are they going to look for boss? Boss up in 10. Gingy Boy throwing out the plead to Jetty Drummer. Getting the boss on cooldown here is ReGen Retro. Right on time. We're gonna see... Oh, shh. Batman is on the camp. Stealthy boys reveal themselves in lane. It's a steal on the camp. The boss is going to be pushing down the top here for ReGen Retro. Looks like the members of Fancy Flightless Fowl just going for a cheeky play. Batman could be in a little bit of trouble, though. Zamibars decides not to chase on through. Thrall manages to mount and retreat. And it looks like Fancy Flightless Fowl will be as 5, just burning down this boss. ReGen Retro pushing across the map, trying to start this prison camp as soon as possible, seeing the entirety of Fancy Flightless Fowl burning down this boss in the top lane. 50 seconds on this objective. I don't think Fancy Flightless Fowl has enough time to jump on this Knoll camp. They're going to have to head straight on over here. Gingy Boy looking for the flank. Zamibars staying on top. You see the invisible members of Fancy Flightless Fowl can actually move past those Junkrat traps. And here they come. 26 seconds. It's going to keep on channeling here. Junkrat just trying to go ahead and interrupt the channels from these minions using that bomb. Looks like Batman is going to get the channel. That's going to provide some relief here for Fancy Flightless Fowl to go ahead and take their time on the setup for this next fight. Gingy Boy coming around the outside all stealthy-like. Trying to go full stealth, but Hunter X uses that long-range poke. Gingy Boy's going in, gets the icing on Hunter X. The Avalanche is out, pushing ETC and Junkrat to the back line, and they are destroyed. ETC and Junkrat are down. The Avalanche catching 2, and that's Fancy Flightless Fowl. Batman gonna stay on top of this objective. The rest of the crew gonna go ahead and steal this Knoll camp. And I think it's the right call to not go core here on Alterac Pass with 2 keeps up. The boss is just so tanky until you peel away that second keep. You're gonna see Gingimex keeping that Twilight Archon up. Thrall's maintaining pressure on the point. It's still a 4v3 push here for Fancy Flightless Fowl as they try to take out this mid keep. And the objective, it will be going over to the red side, and that's going to be pretty much a death sentence here for ReGen Retro. Late game riders pushing right to the core in the mid and the bottom lane. It's going to take a miracle. ETC and Junkrat back up in just under 7 seconds here. They're going to need a team wipe, and they're going to need it real fast, as here comes the riders heading straight to the core through mid and bot. Fancy Flightless Fowl knows all they need to do is wait. They do not need to take a fight early. They're just clearing the lanes, letting the riders push. And all ReGen Retro can really do is wait. They can't really move past these waves. And here comes the objective. Here comes the ultimate defense. Can they get the clear in time? The boss is engaged, and here comes Fancy Flightless Fowl. They're keying onto the core. The Riptire is out, as well as the Earthquake, and this core is just going down too fast. Sammy Bars is gone. The Avalanche into the back line is going to take out Cassia, and the core is down. Fancy Flightless Fowl strike back, and we're going to a game number 3. GG. Very nicely done from our 2 teams. Another very close one. Not quite as many kills that time. Fancy Flightless Fowl with the 10-5, and most of those came with those 2 late game team fights. Great engages from Gingy Boy, finding 2 in the Avalanche each time, converting the double kill and allowing Fancy Flightless Fowl to surge to victory. Alfie on the GREYMANE, leading the way for Fancy Flightless Fowl, nearly 61,000 hero damage. Potato on the Cassia for ReGen Retro, nearly 62, closer to 61 as well. Another quick check on the talent screen, and then we're getting ready for game number 3. All right, Fancy Flightless Fowl strike back on Alterac Pass, forcing a game number 3. We're going to be going to the break, but when we come back, the finale of ReGen Retro versus Fancy Flightless Fowl. Don't go far. Alrighty, getting set up for game number 3. Our teams are rearing and ready to go. We've almost got the lobby fully ready. Krenitix redeeming the drink water streamer. Don't mind if I do. Great time to get water if you haven't. Looks like we're starting up, so let's quickly go over to the maps. Let you know the state of this series. Braxis Holdout, Battlefield of Eternity, Cursed Hollow, and Dragonshire have been banned away. ReGen Retro chose and won Towers of Doom. ReGen Retro then chose Alterac Pass, but Fancy Flightless Fowl picked up the victory. And now it is Fancy Flightless Fowl bringing us to game number 3 on Infernal Shrines. Let's jump into that draft. Cho once again banned away by ReGen Retro. GARROSH going to be banned away by Fancy Flightless Fowl. ReGen Retro does have the first pick this time. Infernal Shrines, both these teams have a winning record here. So both have experienced wins, both are comfortable here on the most popular map in the NGS. So we'll see if anything major changes with the comps. There wasn't a whole lot of difference in the comps from either team between 1 and 2. The May was a big pick from Fancy Flightless Fowl, I will say that. It makes me wonder if ReGen Retro is going to go ahead and snap up the May in a first pick here. This Gingy boy showed some real prowess with the engage of Avalanche. Though in game number 1, the Diablo engage was pretty major as well. So maybe you just don't even bother, since they're going to get one or the other here. Stukov actually going to be banned away by Fancy Flightless Fowl, and what does that leave open? It's Gazlo time. Aaron picking up Gazlo for the solo lane. Interestingly enough, Lost Vikings also open, but if they go Gazlo Lost Vikings, that'd be super fun. Fancy Flightless Fowl with the double pick. They got to deal with a Gazlo now. We'll see what they are thinking here. Zombie going to go ahead and grab the Deckard, and Gingy is very, very happy to continue on the Tassadar. So that's a third different healer for Zombie in this series. Deckard and Tassadar not taking the Li Ming. Zambibars is going to pick up the Diablo here, so they do have the opportunity to take Diablo and ban Mei if they choose to, but they would be leaving ETC open. Happy on the Junkrat as Hunter X going to take that a second game in a row. So Fancy Flightless Fowl, they've got their Deckard, they've banned away the Stukov. Could we see an Ana ban? Ana with Gazlo? Shogun Misa with the follow. Hope you're having a good time. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I'm feeling an Ana ban, to be honest. It's gonna be Vala banned away. Interesting. Not sure. I mean, Vala Junkrat is a pretty hefty amount of damage, but that's also a very unhefty amount of health, which Tassadar really likes to feed on. But maybe they've got some intel that I don't. They're gonna take away the Vala here. ReGen Retro next to act. Are we gonna see a Mei ban, or are we gonna see something else? It's gonna be Raynor taken away. So GREYMANE is still available for Alfie, with Vala gone. Oh no, GREYMANE's not available, so that's a lot of heroes off the table for Alfie here. It's gonna be interesting to see what Alfie will pick up now that those are gone. Deckard, Tassadar, you don't really want to go Tassadar Li Ming. That's pretty crazy. Alfie gonna pivot over to Tychus, and Batmang is gonna snipe away the Malthael this time. Tychus into Diablo is very, very effective. Diablo, obviously very high spell shield, but the percent damage on the big red machine is very effective for sure. Last two picks coming in here for ReGen Retro. They need a healer. They need a main damage, possibly a mage of some kind. It's going to be Uther Alarak. So going for the Uther. Alarak for Potato. Going to be trying to pull Tychus, Tassadar out of position, get the silence on the Malthael to shut down that healing. Cool little comp developing here from ReGen Retro. Anytime I see an Uther coming in late in the draft, it's always worth examining how we got here. And Gingy Boy, not taking the Mei, instead going to go for the Anubarak. Trying to isolate one hero out of the fight. Set up for a double stun kill. There's a lot of follow-up. This is going to be a spicy one. Game number 3, ReGen Retro versus Fancy Flightless Fowl on Infernal Shrines. Here we go. Alright, here we go. Game number 3 is underway. On the left in the blue, once again, we have ReGen Retro with Zamibars playing Diablo, Ender is on the Uther, Hunter X on the Junkrat, Potato is playing Alarak, and Aaron is on the Gazlo. On the right in the red, we have Fancy Flightless Fowl with Gingimex on the Tassadar, Zombies playing Deckard, Gingy Boy on the Anubarak, Batmang on the Malthael, and Alfie is playing the Tychus.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Game number 3, Infernal Shrines, is underway. Uther going to be stacking up that W build. Tassadar looking for the Q stacks on level 1. And I'm very interested to see the Junkrat control here on Infernal Shrines. There's a lot of very interesting angles as the full silence is good onto Tychus. And there we see all the tools coming out. The counter engage from Gingy Boy, the knockback from Junkrat. Batman gonna warp on out of there with the W. And there's gonna be a whole lot of countering in these team fights. Great little exhibition there at the start. As Gazlo and Malthael are going to go ahead and work on that top lane. Gingy Boy could be in some trouble here as Zamibars, may have accidentally queued onto the minion instead of the enemy tank. Goes flying forward, and first blood of the game going to go over to Fancy Flightless Fowl. Unfortunate there for Zamibars. Almost certainly a misclick on that Shadow Charge. And Fancy Flightless Fowl will take their prize of a stolen Khazra camp here on the left-hand side. Or will they? Gingy Boy has expended some tools here. Alfie has actually blown into the fort. They get the camp. Potato with the pushback. Zamibars uses the Shadow Charge to reposition, and that's a kill onto Tychus. Hunter X putting on a show on this Junkrat. The Gingy's pushing in the bottom lane. Right side Khazra camp. Still contested. Will ReGen Retro think about moving on in? Checking in on the top lane here. It looks like Batmang's mana reserves are still alright. Aaron trying to get away from the percent damage of Malthael. Looks like we may have an invade. ReGen Retro thinking about going in, but now thinking better of it. That's the right side camp taken by Fancy Flightless Fowl. And Khazra camp in the mid is still up. Junkrat getting ready to zone out. Confident in their zone control is ReGen Retro. Still trying to clear it out. Alfie's coming around the side. Gingy Boy getting stunned against the wall. The pulse silence from Alarak is good. Gingy Boy moves on in. Junkrat just blows them all away. And the camp control. Zamibars is caught by a force wall. Uses the Shadow Charge to reposition. A great medallion gets him away from the Deckard group. Potato trying to get away. Gingy Boy on the Burrow Charge. Finds the kill. Fancy Flightless Fowl with their second kill of the game. As we have the Arcane Shrine now popping in the mid lane. Meanwhile, the push continues. Batmang trying to grab this XP in the top lane as Aaron pushes in on the Gazlo. Both teams just trying to get their lanes in order, trying to find that level 7. That's always important to get as the first objective of any map, really, is converted. Gingy Boy, with a great knock up there, but will it be enough to get away? Manages to get away from the Gazlo bomb. And Gingy Boy is going to have to back. That's going to give ReGen Retro some space to move on to this objective as Gazlo starts to set up. Level 7 is here for Fancy Flightless Fowl. A couple more minions and ReGen Retro will have it as well. Nubarak actually able to make it back, and Fancy Flightless Fowl will find their position on this objective. Zambi going straight in after Gingy Boy. There's the pull onto Alfie, trying to get away, just decides to take the other exit. Potato gets a little bit of trouble in the backline, finds the silence onto Batmang, but Malthael going to stay alive. Uther's actually going to be the first to fall here, taken out in the bottom lane by Alfie. Fancy Flightless Fowl, 25-7 on these minions, gets the stun onto Gingy Boy. Burrow Charge is good. Potato gets the pull onto Tassadar. But that's Gazlo down on the point. Gingimex playing with fate as Potato finds the lightning, whatever it's called. It's not lightning strike, it's something else. You know, that Alarak thing with the red lightning, you know. Oh, the silence is good. On to Malthael. Batman could be in some trouble here. Deckard with a great root. Manages to peel for the Reaper of Souls. Red Arcane Punisher. Taken over to the wall here by ReGen Retro. And it's hard to tell who came out ahead in that fight. It was a little helter-skelter. I couldn't quite find where the kills were going to be coming from. But ultimately, it is Fancy Flightless Fowl. Pick up the first objective. It's going to be cleared away at the wall. Bomb is out. Alfie is thrown right into the backline of ReGen Retro. Zamibars finds the stun on the architecture. Potato could be in some trouble here, getting below 200 health, but Alarak manages to peel on out of there. This is going to kill me. I didn't click on him in time. I wanted to see his ability. Lightning Surge is the name of the ability. Lightning Surge. Teams working on their Khazra camps. Fancy Flightless Fowl gonna pick up theirs first. ReGen Retro committing the full team. Picking that up. Level 10 about to be here for both squads. Be interesting to see what the ult choices are. Fancy Flightless Fowl going into the Cocoon, the Last Rite, Stay a While, Odin, and Archon. There's the double stun onto Zamibars. Alfie's starting to put out that damage. Root will not land onto Potato or Zammy. ReGen Retro is allowed to reset. Gingy Boy trying to ward in the bush, but will be discovered by Hunter X. ReGen Retro looking at the Lightning Breath, the Riptire, Counter-Strike, Gravel Bomb, and the Divine Hurricane for Uther. This could be trouble here for Fancy Flightless Fowl. Hunter X is trying to get close enough to the point to throw out the mine. Cocoon is used on Junkrat in the corridor just to make sure that they have enough time to take that camp. One more minute until Cocoon is back online here for Gingy Boy. Definitely have some time before the next team fight. Potato could be in a little trouble here. Using the telekinesis to move those minions. Gingy Boy looking for an engage. Will not go for it. Potato managing to sneak away there. Hunter X clearing the bottom lane and coming up to join the team. So far, Malthael and Gazlo have been mostly well-mannered in their matchup. Not doing a whole lot to try to gank each other so far. We see Batman just down here in the bottom lane, nicely grabbing some XP. Right side Shaman camp going to be picked up by Fancy Flightless Fowl. Zamibars moving around to the bottom lane, just trying to soak a wave or two. So the rest of ReGen Retro going to think about taking this Shaman camp. Gingy Boy may have something to say about that, though. We see Fancy Flightless Fowl are coming in for the invade. Aaron's getting a little bit cut off here. This could be trouble. The mine is out, going to knock the Shaman over the wall and not allow. Oh, the fight is happening. There's the Gravel Bomb is going to catch Tassadar. The big sleep from Zombie. Zombie is out. Ender and Zamibars in some big trouble. Uther going to be down first. Zamibars is next, resetting those souls. Junkrat can only control the point for so long, and Fancy Flightless Fowl find the double kill, including the soul reset on Diablo, as we have the Frozen Punisher getting ready in the bottom lane. Alfie going to shed the Odin, as the mid wall going to be quickly taken out here by Gingy Boy and the minion wave. Alfie going to have to be a little bit careful here. Looks like Fancy Flightless Fowl find level 13, getting really ahead on those hero kills. And those mercenary captures as well. The Counter-Strike getting a little bit of damage onto Tychus. Hunter X trying to get the knock-up onto Gingy Boy. Just a pixel off there. And Fancy Flightless Fowl, 28-0 on these minions. It doesn't look like level 13 is going to be here in time. Just now getting there for ReGen Retro, and Fancy Flightless Fowl are going to have this Frozen Punisher pushing in the bottom lane. Cocoon is out onto Uther. There's the extra stun onto Ender. This could be trouble. Gingy Boy is silenced. Gets cut short on the Burrow Charge, and Nubarak is down. And Diablo puts out the Lightning Breath to ward away the members of Fancy Flightless Fowl, and this Punisher has been nullified. Very nicely done by ReGen Retro. Shutting down this push. Barely any damage on the fort. We're going to see Alfie, Zombie, and Gingimex managing to get this Causer camp before the invade is completed. It's going to force ReGen Retro onto their own camp. Hunter X is going to move on down to the bottom lane. So we see Anub'arak is back on the battlefield, but not here just yet. Hunter X moving on to the point. Going to put out the trap. It looks like we may have another scuffle over this neutral Causer camp. Junkrat is putting out the bomb, asserting some dominance here. I don't know if ReGen Retro can get onto this point, though. There's the bomb. Gingy Boy trying to go right over the architecture, but wouldn't quite go far enough. You just see Fancy Flightless Fowl pick up the camp and start the push. Gingimex blown forward. Zamibars couldn't quite find the angle there for the extra stun. And Odin is out from Alfie. They want to find this bottom fort. Wave trying to be cleared away here. Aaron coming on down, manages to avoid the stun from Gingy Boy. And a wise retreat from Fancy Flightless Fowl. Will mean ReGen Retro starts to rotate around here. Zambibar sees Gingy Boy. Just toying around with his vision. The burrow charge from Gingy Boy finds the cocoon onto Diablo. They want this kill. Alarak trying to interrupt things. There's the last rites, putting some big damage onto Zambi, and that's Diablo down. Great peels by Zombie with the stay a while and listen. And satisfied with their kill, Fancy Flightless Fowl are going to start to reposition here. Alfie blown into the bottom lane. Gingy Boy moving in, getting silenced by Potato. Alarak could be in trouble, though, taking some big damage, slowed by the Deckard and Roger Cube, and Alarak is down. That's a staggered kill here for Fancy Flightless Fowl, and they will keep their siege going. Trying to get some value in the top lane is Aaron working on those walls. But still 25 seconds till Alarak's back on the battlefield. We'll see what Fancy Flightless Fowl can do with this time. Anub'arak just trying to spawn some beetles under this fort. Draw some aggro and pick up a free fort if possible. Zamibars and crew are coming in to try to drive back. Oh, Gingy Boy is caught by the domination special from Zamibars, throwing out the unstoppable. Gravel Bomb catches two. This is not over yet. The Riptire will not find the damage required. That's a lot of ults down on the side of ReGen Retro. We still have the Odin, the Stay a While, and the last rites for Fancy Flightless Fowl, as we may see another camp invade here. Aaron and Potato trying to go ahead and start this up. Gingy Boy, looks like the rest of Fancy Flightless Fowl are just focusing on poking down this mid fort, as we see it is going to be a Mortar Punisher in the mid lane. Once again, on top of it, right on time is Fancy Flightless Fowl. Potato getting ready to go in. Zamibars finds the stun onto Anub'arak once again. Junkrat pushing Anub'arak up through the top lane. Getting bullied around there is Malthiel. Batman trying to get away. Uther is actually going to go down first as the surging forward of Fancy Flightless Fowl kills the enemy healer once again. Uther getting some quick heals onto the backline. Going to try to get Potato back in there. Zamibars, great repositioning with the Shadow Charge, but Gingy Boy just too far on the Burrow Charge. Picks up the kill on the big red machine. Cocoon is out onto Alarak. Hunter trying to break him out of there. Potato is taken down. It's a triple kill for Fancy Flightless Fowl. The mid fort is down, and the siege continues. Still 8 seconds on Uther, 20 on Diablo, 30 on Alarak. Malthiel coming on back to go ahead and continue this objective. The rest of the crew of Fancy Flightless Fowl. Hunter trying to control this point. Anub'arak going for the blind charge, will not find it. Khazra a little bit spread out here, that's going to slow down Fancy Flightless Fowl, but not for long. Malthiel just slow rolling this objective, letting the rest of the crew go ahead and layer these camps. Waiting on 39 here is Batman. And there we go. The team is ready to move on in. The Burrow Charge onto Hunter X is good. Actually knocking themselves forward. Oh no, Junkrat picked off. Fancy Flightless Fowl finds the kill onto Junkrat, and they have a 5v4 push with a Mortar Punisher. The Odin is popped, and this is going to be one crazy siege. Over the wall is Anubarak, the double stun onto Zamibar's repositioning with the Shadow Charge once again. Gingy Boy in some trouble here. Somehow getting healed up, those big Deckard potions doing so much work. Last rites and not enough to get Diablo. That's Malthael gonna go down. Gingy Boy could be next. Diablo is still taken out alongside Uther. The damage from Gingy Mechs and Alfie is just so oppressive here. The fort is gone, and it looks like core may be the call. Fancy Flightless Fowl are moving on in. They want this Alarak. Potatoes taken out. GG has been called. The core shielding is down. Hunter X putting out the Riptire. Protector still very healthy. Looking at the core. 30%, 25%. Gingy Mechs is locked on, and Fancy Flightless Fowl take the series. GG. Fantastic game number 3 there. 15 kills to 5 for Fancy Flightless Fowl. They found the Anubarak pick with nearly every auto attacker taken off the board, allowing Gingy Boy to move around with impunity there. Very, very nicely done. Alfie playing the Tychus. 63,000 hero damage on the board there for Fancy Flightless Fowl. ReGen Retro, it was Hunter X on the Junkrat leading the way on the hero damage with nearly 49,000. Another quick check on the talent screen, and then we'll see if we can get ourselves an interview with our winning team. All right, that is our series. Let's see if we can find ourselves an interview with Fancy Flightless Fowl. See if anyone comes on by, and there we go. Batman, thank you very much for joining me. Congratulations on the win.
What's up?
Gotta feel good. Another 2-1 victory there over ReGen Retro after going down there in game number 1. What's the... After losing game number 1 there in a best of 3, does anything change about your drafts in terms of pocket picks, in terms of making sure not to replicate errors? What's the sort of progression after a loss there in game number 1?
Well, Alfie got his pocket pit of GREYMANE, so that helps, and I feel like their comps with those Junkrats both games weren't really working together.
Okay, yeah, there were definitely a lot of different displacement options coming out there for ReGen Retro. It's when they work together, it works really, really well. But we saw a couple of times that the repositioning just wasn't quite working out, and jumping right on top of that. Very nicely done there by Fancy Flightless Fowl. Going back there to Alterac Pass, it looked pretty even there through most of the game. Fairly passive in the beginning. What sort of advantages on a sort of slower map like Alterac Pass are you looking for to extend the advantages out into the late game?
Repeat that again for me?
So on Alterac Pass, generally things are going a little bit slower in the early going. What sort of strategies, what sort of opportunities are you looking for to extend an advantage on Alterac Pass?
The basic way we were trying to get our advantage was me to stop inting those 3 deaths. And when we saw them doing a camp, we did top boss. We were playing around bosses and camps to see where they are so we can get advantage out.
All right, definitely a strong strategy there. Doing just working the map, definitely a good thing to do there on Alterac. So you're mentioning Infernal Shrines. You felt like the enemy comp wasn't gelling super well there. In terms of what you guys were doing in team fights, we saw Gingy Boy with the big engages on the Anubarak and then the follow-up sleeps from Deckard to try to halt the counter-engage. Was there a specific timing or specific ult that you were looking for from the enemy team in terms of how you approached those fights?
That's Malthael. I really was just watching whoever Diablo is going on and where Riptire is. Because I can see
Okay.
whenever Alarak is going to R, I just need to know where Junkrat is and where his ult's coming from so I can dodge it easily. Because if I just get hit by a Riptire, I instantly have HP for it. Maltho, then you have Alarak that can just do a quick combo and kill me.
Okay, so looking at the Riptire for those engages, yeah, definitely makes sense there. One hero that was interestingly absent from today's games was D.Va. Is that one that you guys just doesn't really fit into the comps, or do you feel like the latest patch makes D.Va not a huge priority right now?
D.Va is still a good pick if you are good at playing her. I am the worst D.Va you'll ever see in any player in NGS, so you'll never see me playing that character.
Okay, so just more of a personal preference there, going ahead and choosing some other options. Absolutely, there makes sense. All right, so A West with the double round robin format. This is your second 2-1 victory over ReGen Retro. Now, coming into the end of the season, are there any sort of rematches you're looking forward to before playoffs?
Makers.
Looking to get back at Baby Makers in the second go.
Yeah, that's the only team that we're really worried about right now. Everyone else we know we can beat.
All right, good confidence there for sure. So, as we close things out here, thank you very much for coming on by. Any shout-outs you'd like to make before we head out?
Shout out to Alfie Enting Game 1. I'd like to thank that with my Entombs. And then shout out my Thrall for Enting in Game 2. And then shout out me and Gingy diving at the end there, which ruined my mouth KDA. And that's about it.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much for coming on by. Congratulations on the 2-1, and good luck going forward.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.